What's up, my comic comrades? It's time once again to return to Tom Taylor's epic new 6-issue alternate universe miniseries, Dark Ages, where all of the Earth has been thrown into endless darkness. This time we're picking things up with issue 4. We've already covered the first 3 issues on the channel, so if you haven't watched those episodes or read the issues for yourself, you can check those out right here. Now, if you don't remember, in issue 3 of the series, our heroes, Spider-Man, Sue Storm, T'Challa, and so on, are on a rescue mission to get their friends back, such as Tony Stark, Magneto, and so on from Apocalypse. But in order to save their friends, the heroes must cross the dark seas in a desperate and dangerous attempt. But without further ado, let's continue this epic story and see where it takes us. The issue starts off with Nightcrawler telling Multiple Man, drop the sails, while we get captions from Peter Parker saying their journey was a dangerous one, and the space aboard our main refugee vessel was valuable, with so many fleeing. Fortunately, Moon Girl came up with a unique idea to crew the vessel to save room, which is how Multiple Man became Multiple Seaman. And she had another suggestion to deal with the scale and the weight of the operation because the scale of the ship was colossal. As we see, the refugee ship is a helicarrier. Peter goes on to narrate saying it used to be a helicarrier, but it lost power and all of its heli. And that's how we were able to move 100,000 people across the sea at a time. We then see Storm come flying down on the ship saying, "My friends, you are safe now. Europe is behind you. Welcome to Africa." As Storm takes the refugees to their new home, she greets her king and husband, Black Panther. He asks how many. She says 112,000 refugees. He then asks, and how many are waiting back in Portugal? She replies, too many, but he tells her, we'll find a place for them. We then see their daughter coming running after Storm saying, "Mama," giving her a hug. She tells her daughter, "Shouldn't you be asleep?" And she responds, "I've been awake for ages. I woke Papa." Storm then says, "Well, I'm sure he appreciated that. If there's one thing kings get too much of, it's sleep." Black Panther replies, "The head that wears the crown is a little heavier when it's woken up at 5 a.m. She then tells Black Panther, "Sounds exhausting. You know, I just pushed the helicarrier across the sea from Portugal." Right after this, Pepper Potts comes walking in wearing steampunk Iron Man armor saying, "T'Challa." He responds, "Yes, Pepper, we need to speak to the Admiral." Peter Parker's caption then says, on board the carrier, Pepper filled Admiral Fury in, with him saying, "You want us to turn around and go back to Europe?" Nightcrawler then says, "My people are exhausted." Sue then says, "Fury, I'm going after Tony and the others with or without this carrier." Fury then asks Storm, "Are you up for it?" Storm says, "Of course, we'll leave within an hour." Spider-Man then continues to narrate the issue saying, "We said our goodbyes. Well, most of us said our goodbyes." As we find out, his daughter May Parker didn't want to be there because, as MJ tells him, she's back at the house with Danny. She's scared, Peter. She doesn't want to lose you. Come back to us, Tiger. Peter then says, "Storm filled our sails and we set off." Fury then tells Peter, "You know it's not too late to swim back to safety." He replies, "If we leave Apocalypse to do whatever he's planning, I doubt there will be safety anywhere." Fury tells him, "True, and I've got to say, Peter, I like the world we've built. I'm glad I got to see it. It's worth fighting for." Peter continues to narrate saying, "That night we stopped 10 miles from Portugal. It was calm. It was peaceful. Storm was on the edge of exhaustion. We had to stop there, 10 miles from land. We were so close and just too far away." Now, I did read this comic, but even when reading it, I had the feeling something bad was about to happen. Let's find out. We then see below the ship Dr. Doom saying, "This should not simply be thought of as a rescue mission. We strike, we kill Apocalypse and any loyal to him. We take Europe." The female Wolverine then says, "And whom would you suggest rule Europe in the place of Apocalypse, Doom?" He replies, "Wolverine, if I wanted to rule a kingdom, I would have taken Wakanda. It's far nicer than Europe. When will you begin to trust me?" She replies, "You were literally a violent dictator a few years ago." That kind of sticks in the memory. And right after she says this, they all hear a scream come from above, with Peter saying, "There was a scream that made no sense because it was a voice I knew all too well." As we see May and Danny running to Peter, Luke, and Jessica. Danny apologizes saying, "I'm sorry, we wanted to come with you, but we knew you'd say no." May continues, "And we hid and I never said woo, so you wouldn't find us." At which point May and Peter's spider sense starts going off as they see a light appear in the water ahead of them. We then get a panel where we see a fiery hook pierce right through the back and out the chest of Nick Fury as it pulls him into the water. Then on the next page, captions from Peter explain what's happening. As he says, "Ghost Raiders. When the world went dark, powerless, adrift pirates made a deal with the devil to blaze brightly forever. They have dragged thousands to their deaths since. Victims drowned and burned at the same time," as we get a shot of these Ghost Raiders, who look awesome by the way, while they're pulling a hooked Fury towards them. At this point, the crew isn't about to just sit there and watch them finish off Fury and take their ship, so they start retaliating. As a caption from Peter says, 10 miles. It felt like forever, as we see the Ghost Raiders' flaming ship close up, while they start unleashing fire at the crew. Nightcrawler then tells Multiple Man, "You're in charge, I'm going." He asks, "What? Going where?" Nightcrawler says, "To get Fury," as he starts teleporting towards him. Captions from Peter continue to say, "They were on us, we were about to have to fight against Hellfire." Then on the next page, we see Fin Fang Foom emerge out of the water between the two ships, with Scott Lang riding him like a horse. May Parker says, "It's a monster," but Peter says, "But Fin Fang Foom was our monster." He and Scott Lang were the guardians of the port, as we see Fin Fang Foom destroy the Ghost Raider's ship with a blast from his mouth. Then on the final page of the book, we see Scott say to everyone on the helicarrier, "How was the trip?" with captions from Peter saying, "We made it across the sea, but it cost so much. One more friend to avenge." As we see Nightcrawler retrieve Fury's body, but it was now lifeless, as Scott says, "Oh no." And with that, Issue 4 concludes. I'm continuing to enjoy this series. What can I say? It's a fantastic Elseworlds-esque story. We got another tragic death with the offing of Nick Fury in this issue, and freaking Fin Fang Foom appears with Scott Lang, Ant-Man, controlling it. Just crazy. I will say though, I'm very curious to see what happens with symbiote-infected Miles Morales as he's being controlled by Apocalypse. They teased it several times, but we haven't seen anything on it yet, and I'm very excited to see how he comes into play. But as always, we want to know what you guys think. Let us know down in the comments. Guess what, guys? That brings another episode of Variants to a close. But if you like this video, click that one right here. And if you like all of our content, like, subscribe, and comment. You guys know what to do. It helps us out. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.